Hey traders, checking in on the cryptocurrency space. The bounces are underway. We have quickly shifted out of fear mode for now, and there's actually some FOMO kicking in. And I'm coming off of a 12-hour trading day yesterday. We've got a lot to talk about. Let's look at the charts. So Bitcoin daily bounce finally underway. We had a pattern of a lower high every single day for the last 11 days, and that has now broken. Bounce underway. So what do? We stay on the daily and we scout a daily lower high watching EMA 12 resistance. Bears are going to be waiting for daily lower highs to be scouting entries. 4-hour time frame. Have not seen a clear trend change yet. And we had a little lower wick here. That's certainly not enough for me to call it a trend change. Most of our altcoin bounces have a higher low every single candle still going. And right now, the Bitcoin bulls are attempting a bull flag. 38.9K was a resistance level. We just topped out at 38.75K, and now the bulls are attempting a 4-hour bull flag to try and see follow through. Again, you want to remember the people that are running the show, the people that are trading with 7, 8, 9 figures, the people that do this for a living, they want to take the herd's emotions from euphoria to fear as fast as possible, and then from fear to FOMO as fast as possible. Right now, there are traders out there, maybe it's you watching, that are feeling FOMO about having not bought into fear, don't have a bounce position, and here we are with many names up 15, 30, 50, 60%, and they want in, and if we see a 4-hour bull flag form, that is continuing to keep FOMO from bulls that wish they had bought the dip. So I personally am in a trade right now playing this bull flag. I look at this setup and I say, okay, 15-minute confirmed downtrend with 0 bear follow through. I made an entry at about 37.6 thousand and my stop goes under 36.8. I'm risking, we'll call it $1,000 as far as Bitcoin price movement on the trade. This is an aggressive entry. The only reason I'm making this entry, I'm 50-50 right now. Do I think it's a 4-hour bull flag? 50% chance. That's not high conviction. That's not probability in my scenario or in my favor. The only reason I'm in this trade is because I don't remember the last losing crypto trade I had over the last week, and I'm risking 6% of yesterday's profits. So I'm staying aggressive because it continues working. As soon as I have my first loss in the last week or two, then I turn into conservative and say, okay, now I'm protecting my profits. I'll risk a little bit of those profits to stay aggressive and try and continue this win streak and continue this momentum. But if I stop out here and I get back 6% of yesterday's profit, I then go conservative and become a lot more patient. If it works, I stay aggressive until it stops working. So that's the current trade that I'm in. Other than that, I still have some Link. We'll go over that when we get to Link. That's who I chose to play on the bounce. Keeping in mind that when I go oversold bounces, it's not, I don't want newer traders to be watching this and saying, I should trade like Dan. Maybe that's a goal, and you say, in a couple years, I hope to trade like Dan. We have members that have developed their edge as oversold bounces from watching my style over a couple years of development. We have other traders in the chart guys that don't trade oversold bounces. They have looked at their results. They say oversold bounces are not for me. I don't do well on them, and they don't trade them because they're not one of their edges. And that's perfectly acceptable as well. I personally have made more only bullish in these 6 days than, I don't even know what to compare it to, but certainly more so than it's probably 40% of the year's profits in the last 6 days. Trading bullish, because that's me going aggressive, because that's me in my wheelhouse comfort zone, just my edge as a trader. So it was the first flush I played and then exited on the 4-hour lower high. Then I entered the 4-hour higher low, and this is just going back. And if you want to watch the videos from the last 6 days, I show the trades that I have entered and how it has played out and my style of taking these trades. But again, I just don't want newer traders to be looking at this and trying these trades, because this style of trade, in my opinion, is the most difficult trade that you can take, because you literally have to look fear in the face and laugh, and you have to completely disregard everything that your brain and your gut are telling you. And that takes a lot of time to develop. You literally have to become numb to it and it takes a lot of time. So again, just keep that in the back of your mind. It's a multiple year goal to get good at oversold bounces when fear is at its peak. If the bulls do confirm a 4-hour trend change, or a 4-hour bull flag, I should say, after 38.9K, we're looking at 41.8K as the next resistance. And again, we'll be scouting a daily lower high, keeping an eye on the EMA resistance, and patient bulls don't care about a 4-hour bull flag. They'll say, well, I'm waiting for more significant consolidation. If the trade doesn't come to me, then I maybe miss this daily bounce, and I have to wait for a daily lower high. And then maybe I look for an entry on a daily higher low, playing off of 30,000. Is this the bottom? Is the bull market continuing? Again, you have to understand that my mindset as a trader, I don't know, and I don't care, to be completely honest. I've got my long-term no-touch position, where if it is continuation of the bull market and we break 65,000, I will benefit. If it's not, I'm not going to lose any of my trading account profits that I've made this year because I'm not guessing or making a bet as to whether or not that's taking place because I don't have enough information. How much of this daily bounce? How much follow through do we see? What does the daily retracement size look like once we top out on the bounce? This is a potential bear flag right now. If that's the high of the bounce, I don't think it's going to be a bear flag, but it's a possibility. If we top out from here, we can see another leg down. If the bounce gets us to 44,000 and retracement only drops it to 38, we could be looking at a daily trend change, and then we'll zoom out and look for a weekly lower high. So again, there's just so much time that needs to develop, and we get so much information on an everyday basis. Every 24 hours is packed full of information that tilts probabilities and odds that I have no reason to try and look months out and make guesses. It's not my trading style. It never has been, and I'm going to continue doing what works for me. So at this point, aside from this 4-hour bull flag attempt, I will be patient if it fails. The dominance chart marked the bottom, and we could see that as how it would shape up. This dominance chart has been giving us some good information. We knew that the very most likely scenario of this chart finding a bottom would be the entire cryptocurrency space pulling back. How did we know that? Because this chart did not budge on a bounce when Tesla added billions of dollars of Bitcoin to its balance sheet. And if the most bullish news in the cycle is not going to see dominance go up, then it has to happen with the entire cryptocurrency space dropping on fear and with crypto or with the alts dropping harder. Likewise, I shifted my mindset yesterday. Yesterday, I spent from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. staring at Link, staring at the BTC pairing, and watching how its relationship was developing to Bitcoin. And it became clear to me it's not going to be reliant on Bitcoin to prove to us the daily bounce is underway. The altcoins need to prove it. And I'm going to look for the Bitcoin dominance chart to top out to indicate the daily bounce is underway. Because we know that on the bounces, the altcoins generally bounce harder and faster, and that's when the dominance drops. And I made a fairly in-depth Twitter post about that yesterday morning, just going over everything that I was watching on Link and the dominance chart and the clues that I was looking at from there. So check out Twitter if you want to see exactly what I was seeing and saying as that was taking place. We're looking for a dominance high or low. When's the daily high or low going to form? Once our daily bounce has topped out on Bitcoin and the altcoins pull back farther from that daily top of the bounce being set. So keeping an eye on this dominance chart is helping me with the bigger picture as to what to expect. Got to give a shout out to our developers and Toby for the alert system just nailing these bounces with some of these signals. This is the 4-hour. This is the super stack alert. And on Link, just nailing the first bounce, nailing the second bounce, and not seeing a lot of false signals. It's not firing off prematurely. It's giving some really good signals. And we had here Ethereum, the 60-minute oversold climax right down near the low. The super stack fired back here on the last bounce. So again, just not seeing too many signals firing too early. So considering the massive fear environment that we were just in, big time shout out for Toby and the alert system. Ethereum, big time bounce underway. 4-hour time frame is not a bull flag because we have not even consolidated enough for it to be a bull flag. High or low every single candle. There's no consolidation unless that pattern breaks. We already took out this resistance that Bitcoin still has not. And the next resistance level I'm looking at is 29.50. And again, the size of the bounce at this point is FOMO. There are traders feeling FOMO, feeling like they missed their chance at a bounce. 50% bounce with no 4-hour consolidation. That is massive. Fear to FOMO. Daily bounce is underway. Daily EMA resistance is on watch. And this bounce is significant enough where I will be watching for a daily high or low. The size of this bounce, what it does, again, just imagine emotion. Fear. Fear was palpable all for last week. And now this bounce is big enough to alleviate that fear and have people say, okay, well, this bounce is significant. People are still buying the dip. I want a second chance. Again, there is now a line of traders and bulls wanting their second chance that didn't get that bounce because, again, it requires stepping in front of a speeding freight train bear to be in this bounce from yesterday, which is an acquired skill of emotional control. So I expect bulls will be buying daily higher lows. I think this is our bottom for a bit until we see a weekly lower high, if I had to guess. The good thing is I don't have to guess. So we'll see a 4-hour higher low. As soon as we lose the pattern of a higher low every candle, we'll scout a 4-hour higher low. The size of the retracement of that pullback will tell us what is most likely. Are we likely to see? We haven't topped out yet, but let's say we just top out right here. Are we likely to see a 4-hour trend change and continuation of the daily bounce? Is it a big enough pullback, 50% plus, that we look for an equilibrium to then form? Can the bulls see the first bull cross of the 4-hour EMAs since we topped out from that all-time high, or I should say since the fear picked up? So, plenty of space for a 4-hour higher low, but we have not topped out on this bounce yet. And the stock market right now is a factor, and the bulls are in complete control to start the day. And just to look at it real quick, here's QQQ. You just can't have any more confidence on the day with bulls just in complete control. No red flags. That's helping this crypto bounce, in my opinion. If we had started with a red day today and there was some fear in the broader market, this bounce would have topped out already in crypto, in my opinion. So Ethereum, congrats to the bulls. I made an entry on Ethereum, and this is one or a regret of mine. So Link was my horse that I played, and I'll go over the details when we get to it. And that was, I had the most sizable position I've ever had in Link while we were dropping, and that was my play. I then saw Ethereum get crushed, and I market bought 1760 to go real aggressive on the bounce. And I did that, and I sold it at 1860 for a $100 gain, and that was a 2.5-day maker. And obviously, in hindsight, left, weak makers on the table. But I forgive myself for that because at that point in time, I was then extremely aggressive, and I was still leaving the possibility of a Bitcoin $30,000 flush. Because when I made that entry on Ethereum, I was not confident that Bitcoin was going to hold 30,000. And if I'm all cash and then Bitcoin flushes down under 30,000, or if I'm out of cash or very low on cash and that flush happens, I want to have that cash to play that flush and bounce. So that's me selling too early, but getting my ammo back to stay in complete control of the trade while having sizable bounce positions. If I was in, I want to change my life mode, I would have absolutely just stuck a stop under 1728 and hoped that that was the low. But personally, I wanted a little bit more control on the bounce. So a lot of money left on the table there on my ETH trade, but the Link profits helping offset that regret. And I will be looking for an entry on ETH for a 4-hour higher low. What are the indications that a 4-hour higher low is forming? Well, first, we have to top out and see the consolidation take place and lose the pattern of a higher low every candle. From there, I'm watching a number of things. If I'm aggressive, I'm scaling in for first 5-minute oversold conditions and selling half on the bounce to have continuous lowering of my cost basis and getting my cash back for more ammo if we continue to drop further. I could also do that on the 15-minute time frame. First 15-minute oversold. That could be my strategy. If I want to be more patient, I wait for a 15-minute trend change back to the bulls to indicate that a 4-hour high or low is being set. And if the bulls change the 4-hour trend, let's say we pull back to 2200 and the bulls change the 4-hour trend. I make an entry, I put my stop under 2200 because if 2200 breaks, I am wrong. Our 4-hour high or low has not been set. And if I'm wrong, I don't want to be in the trade. So we have to ensure that that stop is close by enough that we're not having huge risk. And if there's not a price level that is close by enough to put a stop against, then you're using a dollar level that you are willing to risk on the trade, and that is your stop level. You know, if I'm willing to risk $2,000 on the trade, then whatever, you know, if I make an entry, whatever is $2,000 lower, that's where my stop loss goes. Bitcoin just changed the 15-minute trend after starting 4-hour consolidation, which is why I made that aggressive entry, saying, okay, I'll give you a chance for a 4-hour bull flag. And then my stop just goes right under that low, because if 36.8K breaks, then it is not a 4-hour bull flag, and we have further 4-hour consolidation to go. ETH-BTC, we're back to, we just went from bearish correlation, and we know the spotlight is a bullish correlation with the US dollar pairing and the BTC pairing of altcoins directly correlated and in an uptrend. The opposite is when we're in the doghouse. And when we're in the doghouse, which is what happened over the last 5 days, it was the exact opposite. When Bitcoin traded sideways in the altcoin bull market, alts go up. When Bitcoin traded sideways in the last 5 days, alts went down because the BTC pairings were in downtrends. And we broke that. We changed those trends at the same time. The ETH-BTC 15-minute trend change took place at 3:15 p.m. yesterday, and the ETH-USD 15-minute trend change took place after that. The BTC pairings led the bounce back up. They changed trends before the US dollar pairings did. Those were potential clues. That's ideal scenario. If the BTC pairing is outrunning, you know, ideally we want bullishly correlated and both going in the same direction. But if we can see the BTC pairing leading, then we know it's even stronger. So that helped mark a bottom and helped, again, it's all these tiny clues. As soon as that happened, as soon as Link BTC changed the 15-minute trend, before any of the US dollar pairings proved follow through to us, instantly percentages shift that our bottom is in for now. And they increase that our bottom is in for now. It's all these tiny little clues that give us confidence or decrease our confidence as we are watching all these different time frames overlaid on each other and establishing our trade game plans. It's a very complex world. There's a lot of moving parts, and it takes years to get a grasp on it all. So we're watching for 4-hour consolidation. The ETH-BTC pairing. Is it doing the same thing? You betcha. High or low every 4-hour candle. We will need a 4-hour trend change. Potential inverse head and shoulders setting up if we were to reject from 7-1. We would then need the 4-hour trend change to take place to keep the daily bounce going. And just like the US dollar pairings, we are scouting a daily lower high. Weekly chart looks fine overall. What are we watching for now? We've got our spotlight correlation back. We're watching for signs that that is fading. If the BTC pairings break supports before US dollar pairings do and start consolidation before US dollar pairings do, those are clues. That's a shift in the market environment that gives us information for us to act on. So I could be sitting here and saying, I want to make a bearish entry, but I'm not going to do it on any altcoin unless that altcoin's BTC pairing starts to show me signs of weakness before the US dollar pairing does. Link. So why did I choose Link? I have no idea. I just know that it was extremely beat up on the US dollar pairing, as was everybody. I saw the big 30% red number on the day for yesterday, and the BTC pairing was crushed as well. In the end, it ended up being one of the better bounces percentage-wise in the altcoin space. I think Matic beat it, and there was a couple others. Luna beat it, but it's in the top tier of bounce winners. So I lucked out to a certain degree. You know, when we were dropping, I couldn't tell you that Link was going to be one of the better bounces. But Link is the third most active altcoin that I have traded, so I was more comfortable with it. And again, I traded Ethereum and Link on the bounce, but Link was the main horse. So let's go into this Link drop. What was I doing on the way down? So on the way down, I saw a bear flag confirm. I may have played this bounce initially, and again, sell half and put a stop at break even or very small risk. And if I stop out, back to all cash, let's do it all again. So I do know that I played this bounce down to 1620. This dropped to 1620. And I was a little early. And it was just an hourly lower high. That's not where the action... Okay, no, I was a little bit early up here. I did have a position. I had a great fill. 1875 was a limit order. And my first bid filled. And then the bounce got underway. And we made our way up to 2045. That is a 7% plus bounce. But the hourly bear flag, it's a 9% bounce. The hourly bear flag stood out. So I exit half into strength, $1 higher. My 1875 entry now has a 1775 break even. We drop down, I stop out, break even. Back to all cash, let's do it all again. Why do I want to do it all again? Because the longer term time frames are still crushed and we're down 30% plus on the day. And I know that if we're down 30% plus and it's 5 in the morning, we're likely going to see a bounce play out unless we're going to drop to 40, 50% on the day, which is not the more likely scenario in my opinion. So I was then watching the 2-minute time frame on this drop and I was accumulating. And it was standing out to me, and again, I talked about this on the tweets, it was standing out to me that the bottom was not formed by a flush and V-shaped bounce like when Bitcoin broke 35,000. Flush down to 33.5, V-shaped to 37 plus. This was a different kind of bounce. A lot of weakness. Look at this sideways trading. This is accumulation. And usually I'm watching for signs of accumulation on a stock, and then I make a decision and say, okay, I see accumulation. I'll make an entry, put a stop level in, and see if it plays out. In this instance, I was doing the accumulating just because I was confident in the extreme nature of this drop and just looking for short-term bounces to continue to maneuver around for the daily oversold bounce to finally take place. And I was accumulating here. I was making entries 1690s, 1680s, 1670s. And when you see a flush and V-shaped bounce, I usually only fill half of my positions on the flush, and then I market order when I'm more confident the bottom is in, and then that's it. This gave me time to enter a big position. I had twice the position that I would have entered on a flush and V-shaped bounce because of the nature of this sideways trading. And I looked at this and said, that looks like accumulation. And the difference this time around was I was the one doing accumulating with everybody else. And then I recognized this is accumulation as opposed to seeing accumulation and then reacting to it. We had beautiful follow through on this bounce, but it was not the bounce. So I scaled out again. I had an average probably 1690. And let's say I made 5 fills. I exited 2 of them into strength. My break even at that point drops down to maybe low 16s. Again, still comfortable because I am trying to build a position for the daily oversold bounce on Bitcoin. And it's just a question of, do we flush 30,000 and then get the bounce going? I had a game plan and cash if that were to happen. Or do we hold 30,000 and get the bounce going? I have positions established. I won't make as much money if that happens, but I'll make plenty. So I had both game plans as equal probability, and we ended up holding 30,000 obviously. But when the price came back down, I was reloading some of my positions again. So let's say I started with 5, I sold 2, I've now got 3. I added 4 more back into the 16s, some into the 15s. What if we would have kept dropping? Well, I fortunately still had 40% cash waiting for a 30,000 flush on Bitcoin. And again, it's just dollar risk. I'm not going to place a stop loss based on any link levels because we're in extreme fear and those levels matter much less. I would place a stop based on dollar levels. And if it were to be free fall and the cryptocurrency space would have collapsed, I would have given back a lot of my 2021 profit, but not all of it. I would have stayed green on the year. Probably would have given back half of my profit if it was a complete failure. So having that profit cushion absolutely helps with confidence. Where if I can say worst case, I get back half profit on the year and I still make money and I try and go aggressive in a high probability scenario, then I'll do that every time. So we then got the bounce going and confidence derived from the link BTC pairing changing the 15-minute trend first, and then I was comfortable. And since then, because it was a large position, I've just been scaling out. Scaled out some in the 19s, scaled out some in the 23s, Scaled out one more this morning in the 24s, and I've still got positions at this point because we haven't started 4-hour consolidation. The daily bounce is seeing a big enough bounce at this point off the low where I will exit all of my link, 70% bounce. I will exit all of my link for 4-hour consolidation once it begins, and I will re-enter some of those positions, not all of them, because I do not have the confidence on the 4-hour high or low that I do on the massive fear flush, but I will re-enter some positions to be looking for further daily bounce follow through. Bitcoin's still working on that potential 4-hour bull flag. The position that I have, if we break 39,000, I'll sell half of it, and then I'll see how far the bulls can take it with the other half. But if we break 39 and I sell half, I'm then in complete control of that new position. And Link BTC, same deal, 4-hour time frame. There was a little bit of a more significant, it's still an hourly uptrend. Or did we break it there? 627. So just barely lost the hourly higher lows. Initial red flag, but kept the hourly EMA 12 and keeping control overall. Matic, how about that bounce? Congrats to the bulls that chose Matic. Good Lord, that is a bounce. 74 to 198. Euphoria, fear, FOMO. 150% bounce. 4-hour time frame, higher low every candle, tons of space for uptrends on all these time frames. The BTC pairing is exploding as well. This is your bounce winner. It is just putting on a show. Squeezing a lot of shorts. There are very few shorts in profitable positions at this moment. Really only 2.5 days. And if you shorted in the last 3 days, you are now underwater. That's a short squeeze to a certain degree. And again, right back to FOMO. Huge bounce. We're going to scout. If we do reject from 270, we're going to scout a daily equilibrium. But if this BTC pairing keeps this strength, then it is certainly remaining in the spotlight and keeping an eye out for a potential daily lower high here as well. XRP, daily inside bar. Now we're on to the weaker names on these bounces. BTC pairing, inside bar. 4-hour EMA resistance on the BTC pairing. So it is a much weaker bounce, and the bulls have a lot more proving to do. And again, how could you know who's going to bounce stronger? Well, we know that XRP and LTC were some of the last altcoins to run in our Euphoria market, and they generally have been weaker than most coins. If we're talking time, a larger percentage of the time, they are weaker than most of our altcoins. Matic was coming from being in the spotlight right before the massive Euphoria, or I should say the massive fear dump, and they're going right back into where they were as a lead bull. So those are the only little clues as to who's going to be a better bouncer. And in my opinion, some of you can look at fundamentals. I don't think the fundamentals have a whole bunch to do with it as far as who's going to bounce a greater percentage when you're in that kind of a fear environment. Maybe if you're looking long term, for monthly higher lows, you can talk fundamentals, but not in a 24-hour dump and V-shaped bounce. Really, at that point, it's the more important information than fundamentals is what is the size of the short position, what is liquidity like, and what does the buying dollar volume look like compared to average as far as, thin order book, squeezing shorts and all that. That matters more than fundamentals in a scenario like this as to who's going to bounce more significantly. Litecoin, same deal. Trying to catch up a little bit here. So looking at the high of yesterday, again, the stronger names have broken the high of yesterday. Still keeping this bounce going. The LTCBTC pairing, same deal. Not as strong as other names, but not too shabby. And we know the bounce is stronger than Bitcoin because that BTC pairing is going up at the same time. So we know over this period, the gains are better in Litecoin USD versus Bitcoin USD. 4-hour trend changes needed across the board. Watch the pattern of a higher low every 4-hour candle. Have your game plans established. You can scale in. If I'm looking at ETH, I can scale in one entry at 23.10, another one at 21.10, another one at 18.10. I don't think we're going to pull back that much, but that's a scenario. And then if you get all your fills, you place a stop loss either based on the low or if that's too far away, based on the dollar amount you are willing to risk. I personally am going to do my style of playing oversold bounces and flipping partial positions. So I will be buying, if I'm at the computer, ETH first 5 minute oversold from here, and I will then sell half of it. And then I'll be looking first 15 minute oversold. I will make an entry, sell half of it on the first 15 minute oversold bounce. And that will keep me with a low cost basis and comfortable. And again, the profit cushion is absolutely a psychological factor. Can't deny that fact. You know, if I'm only risking 5%, 10%, 30% of one day's gain, that makes me more aggressive and more confident to be establishing positions. One other scenario we need to be aware of, and Bitcoin has done it a couple times on these bounces. Remember the initial bounce, 3,000 to 4,300, and that's on Coinbase. It wasn't as high on other names. What then happened? We tightened up for a long period of time because the gains were so significant. If this bounce keeps going, if Bitcoin confirms a 4-hour bull flag and the altcoins get this extended to the upside, we then need to be cautious of bulls using up all of their momentum in the short term and then seeing this 4-hour consolidation take a couple days to develop. You know, it's possible to just set higher lows and keep going and keep that daily bounce going, but the bigger the initial bounce before any real consolidation, the more likely the scenario that is the top being set for the foreseeable short-term future and that we have to trade within it for a while. An aggressive bear here is just saying, okay, when we lose the pattern of a higher low every 4-hour candle, I make a bear entry, I put my stop above the high at that point. So let's just say Ethereum drops down and breaks 24.20. I enter short. My stop goes over 25.77. I'm risking $160. And if we pull back to 4-hour consolidation, for that trade to be worthwhile for me, if we pull back to, really I want 2-to-1 risk to reward ideally. Oh geez, math on the fly. $160 risk, $320 reward would put it at $2,100. That's possible. If we're going to see that 4-hour equilibrium scenario, that's a possibility. But again, I have no idea. You know, I have no idea what the 4-hour consolidation will look like. I will watch it as it's happening. I will watch the responses to 5-minute and 15-minute oversold bounces. Do we see significant follow through? Are bulls aggressively buying those dips? Are they weak bounces that result in lower lows, which tell us more 4-hour consolidation is likely? What does the bear volume look like on consolidation comparative to the bull volume on the way up? That is all essential information that I do not have until it happens, until it is in the moment happening. And so for me to try and predict what's going to happen without that information is a fool's errand, in my opinion. Is that the right saying? A fool's errand? All right. Feel free to ask any questions. Probably going to exit a little more link here. 15-minute rising wedge watch. Absolutely. Aggressive bears, start paying attention. We can break them bull. Bitcoin had a 2-minute rising wedge on the initial start of this bounce that broke bull yesterday. If Bitcoin fails a 4-hour bull flag, that's an indication to top fish altcoins bearish if you are an aggressive bear. And I'm also watching for signs of the BTC pairings showing a little relative weakness comparative to the US dollar pairings for a potential bear signal as well. Keep an eye on these rising wedge / channels. All right, do good things. Appreciate you watching. Congrats to the bounce players. Establish your game plans. If you're feeling FOMO, if you're feeling fear, think to yourself, this is exactly what they want me to be feeling. They want me to act on this emotion right now because that's how they're going to make money off of me. You have to learn the game and learn how to think like the big money players that are running the show and be immune to the emotions that are triggered in the herd. Mint is a very prolific spreader. So that's mint, that is mint, that is mint, and that is mint. So I'm going to make sun tea. And I just found out that lilacs are edible. So I'm going to take a bunch of different kinds of mint, put it in a big jar, set it out in the sun for 24 hours, and then take some of these lilacs and put it in there as well. And maybe we'll get some mint lilac tea. I'll let you know. Carpenter bee making a home in my turkey. I'm very down with that. Queen Sweetie Pants got a new setup. You like it? So we got some mint lilac sun tea going. The lilac is a bit overpowering. I'll probably use less next time. But nice and easy. Stick it out, drink it.